Welcome back, Provo, here on the 15th hole on the big boy course here at East Bay Golf Course. And we have beautiful scenery in the background. Just another treat that you have when you come down to this golf course here in South Provo. And I'm joined by three coaches of the women's team at Provo High School. We have Dave, Gary, and Brett. Thank you for taking time to be with us today, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Dave, so talk with us a little bit about your girls team. We just had a couple of girls on the squad, and 2014 state champs, first time that the girls have dominated anything in 14 years. What did that mean for you and the program?
Well, if you knew from where we came from, it's huge. I mean, we started, Brett and I and Gary, we've had these girls this is our third year now. The first year we had them, we had tryouts, we had a bunch of girls show up, and most of them didn't even have a set of clubs, and I think 3 or 4 of them maybe had even swung a golf club.
Wow.
So to say that it was a project is an understatement. But we got a bunch of girls that were basically, most of them were athletes or cheerleaders, so they were pretty athletic to begin with. So it wasn't like we were starting from scratch. Most of them had good hand-eye coordination. Brett here, fresh in the PGA program, came from the school. He learned a lot of techniques that we were able to pass on to the girls, or he was able to pass on to the girls, which was huge. They were willing to learn and work hard, and lo and behold, 2 years later, they're playing in the state tournament, and every one of them showed up to play that day, and they ended up being state champions.
So you've, correct me if I'm wrong, this is your third year as coach,
yep.
And pretty impressive resume. 3 years in the program, win a state title.
It's pretty impressive.
So where did you learn to play golf?
Well, when I was a kid growing up, my parents actually belonged to a country club, and I wasn't too crazy about the golf part. I was more into going to the swimming pool and seeing the girls in the bikinis, that kind of thing. But I played junior college baseball, and after I got done with that, you still have those competitive juices flowing, and you
Sure.
need to find that void. And I tried hunting and fishing, and that was okay. But when I was about 32 or 33, some friends of mine were golfers, and they drugged me to the golf course, and just started slowly learning the game, and became obsessed with it. Got a job here about 12 years ago, I think, at East Bay, part-time, and started to play more, and just fell in love with the game and wouldn't trade it for any other game. It's the greatest game in the world.
Amen to that. Now, Gary, you coach JV girls, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mainly just kind of support Brett and Dave. We have girls that are coming up that are just really learning, and so what they do is they kind of grill them, and then I go out and have fun with them. Just watch them play, and they just giggle. Hey, they're great. They're great. They're just fun to be with.
Excellent. And Brett, as a swing coach, how fun is it to be out here and to really have these fresh pieces of clay that you can mold into whatever you want, really, based off of what Dave just said?
It's like Dave said. 3 years ago, we were shambles. Wouldn't even be a good way to describe it. And I still remember the first day of tryouts, and we were upstairs in the banquet room because it was snowing outside, and we putted and chipped, and I had, just like Dave said, I was just fresh out of the PGA and thought, oh yeah, I'm going to be the greatest thing, and it was hard. But what made it so much easier is that we had, I think on the team now we've got, of the 6 girls that played in the state, 3 of them had really never played golf before on that day. And we were able to kind of create the swings that we wanted to, or that we thought would last under pressure, really, is what we tried to build on. And as we learned and learned and learned, like you said, it just became more fun. You had not just the 6 girls, but most of them, in fact all of them, are out here in the snow, they're out here in the rain, wanting to get better. And so when you've got that combination of that, plus, like Dave said, a little athletic talent, it's really easy to make golfers, out of that. And then you kind of teach them the ins and outs. And I think one thing that we were most proud of this year is we left state last year realizing that we weren't that very good of a putting and a chipping team, and that was our number one focus. And I tell you, they just all went at it. I mean, we were shoveling the greens off when it snowed and doing everything they could, and so their hard work, it was a true story of hard work paying off and showing itself in the end. So it was great.
Excellent. So Dave, when did you really know that this was going to be a special season for you? Because we spoke with the girls and they said they had an inclination because they heard Naomi was coming. Did you know it was going to be special because of that, or a little bit further down the road?
Well, you know, there's been a lot of schools come around that had one girl that was really good, and none of them. They did okay at state, but one girl couldn't lead a team to a state championship. So the girls knew Naomi coming up through the junior programs that she was pretty good, and Naomi, when she showed up, the other girls saw her work ethic, and they jumped on board. And our designated captain, Kieran, she was already a pretty motivated player, and she kind of motivated the other players. It was kind of a chain reaction thing, and they just fed off each other. And eventually, they just kept pushing themselves, and we knew what we were when we started, that we weren't quite probably state championship material. But what we tried to do, and we talked about this from the very beginning, is let's start here and let's start peaking, and by the time we get to the state tournament, we'll see what happens. And that's pretty much what happened. And we feel like at the state tournament we played our best golf, and that's what you have to do to win state championships. I mean, that's for sure.
And we just in speaking with Naomi for a little bit, as well as Abby, Kieran, and Tyla, they mentioned that Naomi had some family circumstances that happened as she drove up into the parking lot. Now, for a freshman and going into the state tournament, carrying that family burden, that emotional burden, to see her come out triumphant was unbelievable. What are your experiences as a coach from that?
Well, first of all, when she showed up and her dad got out, literally they got the call pulling in the parking lot state tournament that her uncle, her dad's brother, was sick and ill and had been rushed to the hospital, and things didn't look good. So Naomi's dad, Mapu, dropped her off and said, "Hey, I got to go up to the hospital, look after my brother, see my brother. Can you just kind of watch Naomi a little bit?" She doesn't need a whole lot of coaching, but I think on that day she needed a little moral support. Brett and I tried to give her as much as we could that day. You know, the fact that she's 15 years old, and some people forget that. She acts like she's 18, but she's 15. And she took that. We had a little meeting inside the snack bar before we started. We just asked the other girls to step up a little bit, say, okay, Naomi's carried us all year. Let's see if we can help Naomi this time around. And to a T, they all stepped up, and I think we had 4 career bests out of the other 5 girls that played with Naomi. And Naomi was able to keep her focus good enough to be the medalist. She didn't play her best that day, but she shot a 71, and she played well enough to win the state individual medalist, and that's a tribute to her. Carrying that burden on her shoulders for 18 holes in 4 hours and keeping her focused like that. So that's incredible.
I'd love to shoot a 71 any day.
Wouldn't we all?
So from all 3 of your perspectives, your swing coach, working with the JV, more of the younger girls, Dave, what do you expect for the future of the Lady Bulldog squad?
Oh my gosh, we only have 1 senior. We have 2 seniors. One of our other seniors didn't quite have the year that she would like to have had. She played in a couple of varsity matches, didn't play at state. But we've got a great sophomore class right now. We have 5 girls that at any time we could be bringing those 5 girls to a varsity match. So we got a lot of good young girls coming up. We have Abby coming back. She's a junior. She's a solid player. We have a couple good young freshmen coming up. So
expectations are high.
The expectations are high. Yeah, the future looks bright. Let's say that. We don't want to get overconfident or anything like that. It's still going to require a lot of hard work. We have a target on our back now. We're the defending state champions, so everybody's going to be gunning for us. There's even teams in our region that'll be gunning for us. So Spanish Fork and Springville are good teams. Orem has a good team, and they got a lot of good young girls coming back. Box Elder was a state champion last year. They got some good young girls coming back. So it's going to be a dogfight, and we're going to have to work hard to defend our title next year.
I think that's the greatest thing about the girls, though, is from what we've seen, they've all kind of reset the button. I think, like Abby said, they all realized they walked off and they won by a lot. But I think every one of them thought, man, I can play a lot better. There's a lot more left in this tank. And I think they've all realized that. And so in their minds, I think after we had, the banquets and the hoopla and stuff like that, that they reset and they're down here practicing again. And I don't think that they were satisfied a little bit, but I don't think they were completely satisfied with it, which is cool, especially when they're sophomore and freshmen and stuff like that. So it's exciting. It's fun to see them still working hard at something that they just accomplished and they wanted even badly and even more than they did last year. So it's a cool feeling.
Gary, what's the most rewarding thing for you as a coach, being a coach among youth like this?
It's just to see these girls come out there and they know practically nothing about golf, and then they just get out there and they work out. We've got a couple of girls out here that just really are dedicated. They just come out here and they work their tails off. They just come. I'm ready to go home, and they're out there still putting and chipping, and I'm thinking, I'm tired. Let's get out of here. They just keep on going. That's the reward thing. And about the championship, just to think that these girls are going to, when life gets a hold of them and it crowds in on them, they're going to be able to look back on this time and say, you know what, there was a time when we won. That's the rewarding part.
Well, again, congratulations on a wonderful season, and we look forward to more bigger and brighter things from the girls at Provo High School.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some golfing tips from our swing coach, Brett Watson, right after this.